I don't need you.
Hang on, I'm just booting up everything for the new year. So
Yeah, I need a new apartment, oh safe haven, and not the dump you live in. I don't need you, cause I got high ambitions, a boss vision, I'm granting all my wishes. I don't need you.
Hey, I'm Pascal from Orangepixel. It's a new year, it's a new season on the channel, it's a new video for that new season, and it's a new Thursday. There's a lot of new stuff. Before I continue, and I know people are gonna ask, I was chopping up some onions and one of them bit me. Alright, that's not true. I kind of sliced a little bit off my finger, but it's okay, it's healing very well, the doctor says, so we'll take her word on it. And it's just gonna be a couple of weeks making typing a little bit more interesting, I guess. So, not one of the plans I had for this year, but in this video I do want to talk about all the plans I do have for this year. If you're new to the channel, every year, every season of these videos I start with my plans for the next or the coming year, the next 12 months, type of games, the YouTube channel, social media marketing stuff, and for this season I have a new idea. I'm going to talk about business. If you run a business and if you're starting a new year, you want to somehow estimate what kind of money is coming in, and if you need to do a lot of extra work in certain areas of your work or your business. So as a first, this year, I'm gonna talk about the estimates that I made and the kind of money I think that's coming in. I'm expecting, it's never a sure thing, but the kind of money I'm expecting from all the stuff that's already happening and already in motion. And could be interesting for some of you, but it might also not be interesting for some others. So just watch this video. After the intro, we're gonna dive into the games, the YouTube channel, the social media, and the business side of things. Should be fun. Plans for 2022. I made a list because I have a lot of plans, but I'm not keeping everything in my head because that would probably cause some sort of explosion somewhere. So, alright, main business of course is game development. For this year, my main plan is Regulator City. Currently working on that game for the last 5 or 6 months already. The plan is doing either a Kickstarter and or finding a publisher. Preferably Apogee, as I've been working with them on Residual last year. So, but if they don't like it, they don't want it, then I got a couple of other contacts at other publishers. So we're gonna see if that's an option. Regulator City has to be made and done and finished and completed within 4 or 5 months from now, depending on how Kickstarter and publisher searches go. We'll see. Other plans, Serious Lion, who's porting all my games to the Switch, but also Xbox and PlayStation. Come to that later. We want to make a game together, so hopefully we're gonna make that happen this year. He has made some time available for that every now and then. I will make time available for it. He will do all the coding, I will do the graphics. We have a couple of ideas and neither of us is going to be 100% on that game, working on the game, so we have to be smart about how we develop it and design it, and I think we can make it work. So hopefully that's going to be a game. And then finally a third game. Right now, thinking about Heroes of Loot 3, because reasons for that. Heroes of Loot 2 is coming to Switch in February. Mark that on your calendar. It would be a great time to release part 3 on Switch, PC, and maybe others. But also, it can be a game that I can make in 6 months. I've been working a very long time on my last couple of games. Residual was very long, but also because of a Kickstarter and a publisher. Regulator City is gonna be at least 12-month project, which for me is a long time. I prefer to work on games within 6 to 12 months. This is gonna be stretching it, so my next project, I just want to see if I can still make a good game in 6 months. And the thing with Heroes of Loot, I know what to expect, I know what I want to make, I know all the stuff that has to be done. There's not gonna be any new things I need to learn, like the AI in Regulator City or all this survival type stuff in Residual and all the extras that came with that game. It could be a good idea to create Heroes of Loot 3, but it also depends on how Regulator City does in the coming months. So for now that's the plan, but it might change. If it all works out, I'll be doing 3 games this year, counting Regulated City, the one I'm already working on, as one of those. That brings me to YouTube. And this has been a growing part of Orangepixel, my business. I've been waving it into my workflow pretty much. On Friday, I sit down, record these videos, edit them roughly, and on Saturday I do the final edit and upload them, and on Thursday these videos go live. This is episode 210 of weekly videos. I plan to keep doing that. But also last year's YouTube, I kinda did only these devlogs, pretty much because Regulated City was just very difficult and getting it up and running, that I just didn't have a lot of creativity left to create interesting videos. I want to do that more in the coming year, more tech talks, maybe some pixel art videos again, just me drawing pixel art. Of course, I haven't been doing a lot of pixel art because of the intern doing most of that, but I'll be doing it again myself starting in February when he leaves. But another idea I had is playing your game, if it's not released yet, but very close to release, and it's actually certain quality. I want to play your game and just give it some playtime on this channel, but also give you some feedback and pointers based on my experience. Maybe I can help you out while you help me out. I get extra content for my channel, playing your game. You get some feedback and exposure. Not sure yet how I'm going to do it, but if you think you have a great game for that, contact me, let me know. It's going to be an interesting thing to try. Besides that, of course, I had some sponsored videos last year. I want more of those because that makes YouTube worth my time and investment, and allows me to do a lot more on YouTube. So I'll be actively searching for sponsors probably. Last year they found me. This year, hopefully I'll find them. We'll have to see. Console porting. That's still an ongoing project between me and Serious Lion, who has been doing all my libgdx code, porting it to Monogame, and then we release it on Switch. We're also ready for Xbox and PlayStation. We just haven't pushed that final step yet, which is setting up the backend and figuring out everything with achievements. And well, we have figured out that part for Residual, but still the whole publishing and actually pushing something through hasn't happened yet. But this year should change that. I'm expecting we're going to be releasing at least 3 games on Switch. First one is already set and ready to go in February. Heroes of Loot 2. Check it out. It's going to be. It plays amazing on the Switch, and you can play it with 2 players, which is pretty cool. We already have Snakecore actually just popping on the screen. Snakecore is almost up and running, and we have Ashworld also. Pretty far in the porting process. So I'm pretty confident 3 games on Switch, maybe a 4th, and of course I'm hoping to release at least 1, maybe 2 on Xbox and PlayStation. It's gonna be interesting. There's still a bunch of stuff we need to figure out and need to do, and it's gonna be a lot of time for me to figure out how the back ends of these console companies work and operate. It's honestly the worst part of releasing on consoles is the back ends. And I thought Nintendo had a very terrible back end, but they have a very good one compared to some of the others. It's frustrating mostly, but game porting, console releases, they're coming. Did that. Newsletter, marketing, pretty much all of that, Discord. Been dropping the ball a little bit on my newsletter, but I don't think that's a very big problem, because people who are subscribed will stay subscribed, and usually when you send out a newsletter, there's just a big chance they unsubscribe. So I had some good stuff going when Residual was about to launch, some behind the scenes stuff and interesting bits, and I'm gonna try to do more of those. It's pretty much talking about stuff that I don't really talk about on these videos because it's either not interesting or too short to talk about, but it still makes for an interesting newsletter. So just make sure to subscribe to the newsletter. As a bonus, you'll get a Residual manual, but also a free book from Orangepixel. And the plan is to actually continue adding chapters to that book in the coming year. I just released a new chapter about Gunslugs and how that game came to be. I got a bunch of other stories I want to add to that book. And it's going to be an interesting Orangepixel book, especially if you like my games and if you're a fan of me. Which is weird to say, but if you enjoy Orangepixel and its games, which I guess it's me, then get that book. It's really interesting. I promise you there's going to be more interesting stuff added to that book. Alright, that brings me to probably the most important thing of this video, or the most interesting thing. first time I'm gonna try this, talk you through my estimates. How much money do I think I'm gonna be making on games in the coming year? Interesting experiment. Let's do this. Business plan. Pretty much, this is what I do at the end of a year or at the start of a new year. As a business, you need to make some estimates on how much money is coming in, and are you in serious problems or trouble, or do you need to fix things or improve on areas, things like that. I'm just gonna drop some numbers on you and just we'll see. So what I'm expecting from my current catalog of games, so all the active games I have available still on Android, Android specifically, I'm expecting at least 10k, and these numbers are in euros, so do all the math yourself. This is not so much Google Play, although there's still money coming from Google Play and discounts and sales, but also third-party markets that are not Google Play but somewhere else. Can't talk about some of those because NDAs and things like that. But I'm expecting all those active live games to still make about 10k this coming year. iOS versions, not so much, because the iOS, well, there's only one market to sell your iOS games, and that's the Apple App Store. And at some point your games just won't sell there anymore because they're old, they're outdated or whatever. And there are no other markets where you can actually sell those games, or no legal and interesting and trustworthy markets. So I'm not expecting a lot from iOS. Maybe, if I'm lucky with some discounts here and there, picking up maybe 3k, but that would actually be stretching it. These games on iOS are just making less and less each month. I've seen it happen last year. It's gonna be even worse this coming year, I guess so. On Switch or consoles, depending on the amount of porting we do, the amount of new games release, and maybe Regulated City as well, 4 to 5k maybe. Not sure. This is just a rough estimate. It could be more, it could be less, but I'm kind of estimating 4 to 5k maybe, hopefully, if we do new ports, because the games that are already there with some discounts, they're not doing a huge amount of numbers every time, but a new release can actually spur some of that up, and 4 to 5k maybe. Xbox, PlayStation, I have no idea what to expect from that. I know it's a lot more difficult to get my type of games noticed on those consoles. So people that gonna buy my games on Xbox or PlayStation probably already played it on mobile or PC and just want to replay it on their favorite console. Not expecting huge amounts there, but we'll see. You never know, and it could be an interesting surprise. Other revenue streams, pretty much random stuff, different type of little consoles like the Ouya was, but also the iArcade. I'm talking to a couple of other console manufacturers that create interesting things. More about that maybe soon on the channel. All that combined, maybe 1 to 2k. Could be a lot more, but that's all gonna be depending on these other things I can't talk about yet, how they will pan out. So for now, the estimate 1 or 2k maybe. YouTube, that's going to be depending on sponsors. YouTube ad money isn't really a lot, maybe 300-400 euros in a whole year. But as the channel grows, that also grows a little bit. Not expecting a huge amount there. But sponsored videos, if I can get that up and running and interesting sponsors, we're talking about maybe 1-2k, maybe 3k. It really depends on how many sponsors I can get over a whole year. Could be interesting, but not sure yet. Then we have a game revenue that's still to come, that I'm still expecting to come in from sales that have been done in last year. Maybe 10 to 15k, somewhere around there, which is going to be a good bulk compared to, combined with my Android sales. That should make up a good portion of my year already. And then we have new game releases, and they will have to make up for, if I do the math, about 20 to 30k. So Regulated City better do very well. Side note on that, Kickstarter might help Regulated City. Yeah, it's like I'm counting stuff, but anyway, Kickstarter could be help. Publisher could be interesting and helpful if I can get an advance to finish the game. That should pretty much set my year up for a success. And I make these estimates very realistic. Of course you can dream big and stuff like that, but in this case you shouldn't dream big, but you make estimates on the lower end of things so that it can only get more. And some of these things will not get to that estimate I have, other things will pass the estimate I made, and that will actually balance it out. So roughly, if I'm just looking at these numbers now, this year, without releasing new games, only ports, I should be looking at 20 or 30k, roughly. Of course, I have no idea if that's going to be realistic. We'll see that at the end of the year, but roughly 30k. That means new game releases together combined somehow have to make up for 20 to 30k, and then my year will be a success, and I will continue doing game development next year. So that's my goal for this year. Release games, Regulator City, maybe the game with Serious Lion, maybe Heroes of Loot 3 or another project. They all combined have to make up for 20 to 30k. And then if everything else works out and all the numbers are correct, it should be a great year. Now, if you want to find out if I make all this happen, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm pretty open on the channel. I talk about most of the stuff. Of course, there's going to be a lot of development diaries and development logs and updates like that, because that's most of my job. But every now and then I do videos and talk a little bit about the business side of things. So subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out. Every Thursday, new video. Like this video. Comment below if you have any questions or if I forgot to mention anything. Drop by the Discord if you want to have a more in-depth chat, and there are a lot of other people there. So yeah, that's it for this first video of the year. Hope you enjoyed it. It was a lot of talk. Next year I'm going to show you a bunch of Regulator City stuff, because I've been working on that game for the last couple of weeks doing these other type of videos. So there's a huge amount of things I can show you, and we're going to do that next week. So see you next week. Thanks for watching. Bye.